popular singer Chappell Roan was skewered online by her Gen Z fan base for not endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris. The singer told The Guardian, quote, "I don't feel pressured to endorse someone. There's problems on both sides. I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills, use your vote, vote small, vote for what's going on in your city." And after her fan base freaked out, Chappell Roan posted this video. Let's watch.
I just woke up and to people just skewing it even more. Endorsing and voting are completely different. I don't agree with a lot of what is going on with policies. Obviously, the policies of the right, but also some of the policies on the left. That's why I can't endorse. That's why I can't put my entire name and my entire project behind one. Because there is no way I can stand behind some of the left's completely transphobic and completely genocidal views. So yeah, there are huge problems on both. You know what is right and wrong, and so do I. F Trump for real, but some of the that has gone down in the Democratic Party that has failed people like me and you. And more so, Palestine. And more so, every marginalized community in the world. So no, I'm not gonna settle for what the options that are in front of me. And you're not gonna make me feel bad for that.
She went on to say she'd be voting for Kamala Harris, but would not settle with what is being offered.
I mean, sounds like I don't really agree with Chappell Roan's broader politics if her criticism of the left is that they're not far left enough. But I appreciate her not wanting to, cynically force her fans to fit into some Kamala Harris box the way so many other celebrities are. I agree that you shouldn't settle for the lesser of two evils. I'm a third-party voter, so I appreciate that she's expressing that sentiment, and I think that's fine.
I think there's a couple things happening here. She has valid criticisms of the Democratic Party. I could do that all day long. And she's voting Kamala Harris, as I am too. With that being said, she has been very vocal about jumping into the limelight, that fame is like going through puberty, and it shows. She's hurting, she's talked about depression, and the social media response for every move that you make. I mean, she could just make one little move, right, in her performance or talk about one person, but in a presidential election in particular, there is unfortunately some sort of PR responsibility with your words that in this ecosystem we live in today, whether it's her agents and managers and future jobs or the social media response, she's got to be a little bit more cautious because it's hazardous. It's a liability, unfortunately, to fame.
As we know, it's just so difficult being famous.
Oh yeah, her whining and moaning has been annoying. But I think this is more a story about toxic fan culture, where you have this vocal minority of stans, as they call them, who try to pressure celebrities to make these public statements that nobody really cares about. I mean, we saw what happened with the Taylor Swift endorsement. The first study that came out afterwards suggested, or the first poll that came out afterwards suggested that it actually hurt Kamala Harris. So, well, I mean, you can.
400,000 people registered to vote the next day.
That's actually not accurate. So what happened?
Okay, right-wing media. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll explain it for you. So what happened was the increase went 100,000 more. So there was an average of 300,000 people visiting the voter registration website on a daily basis. Up until Taylor Swift made her post on social media, it slightly increased to 400,000 and then immediately dropped back down. We don't actually know how many of those people signed up to register to vote. This is just based on website visits. And there was a poll that found that people had a more negative opinion towards Kamala Harris when they found out that Taylor Swift had endorsed her. So there's a question as to whether...
What polling? I love when Republicans throw out polls here and there, but it's like, was it those under 40? Was it those under 30?
All of them.
All of them. What poll? You can't just say generic things like that.
Okay, I'll find the poll for you then.
Find the polling. I mean, I get it's convenient, but and you guys are really upset that Taylor Swift didn't endorse Donald Trump.
I don't care about that.
but it is important, and it might sway the election. It might not. I guess we'll just have to see.
Taylor Swift support. I mean, what's going to sway the election is rural working voters in Pennsylvania who I don't think were sitting home waiting, to Amber's point, wondering what Taylor Swift was going to tell them to do, right? And now they're like, okay, now I'm going to vote.
It's a Quinnipiac poll that was conducted between September 19th and 22. 3/4 of likely voters said that her endorsement does not make a difference, while 9% said that it makes them more enthusiastic, and 13%, which is higher than 9%, says that it makes them less enthusiastic.
Again,
I have
that's
a hard
not the
time
base.
believing it's going to swing the election.
So let me make the case really quick. That's a generic poll about likely voters. That is not who they're trying to get. The base is everything. MAGA wants their base. Kamala Harris wants her base of young people, just enough to show up, of people of color, of a whole array of young women and older women. Right? You need that base to show up, and then you want to bridge over with the Never Trumpers, etc. So she needs to excite young people enough or more, because it came down to 60,000 votes in 2020 between 3 swing states. So if it's 200 more in one precinct in Wisconsin, that could make a difference. If that's 200 young people that don't normally show up, again, the Quinnipiac poll is about all likely voters, including Republicans, not Kamala Harris's base. So if more people register to vote because of Taylor Swift, yeah, that could make a difference in a couple of precincts in an election. And that's great. And you guys do it too.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing for the Democrats that Taylor Swift isn't endorsing Kamala Harris, and that Chappell Roan says she's going to vote for Kamala Harris. But the get all the celebrities on our side thing, I think the base is already fired up. I think they're motivated. I think they're energized. The question is, are this small number of genuine swing voters in this country, people who might have been Republicans but don't love Trump, or are Democrats but aren't enthusiastic about the last 4 years and are looking for working class supportive policies? I don't think these are people who are disproportionately plugged into pop culture. They're disproportionately plugged into their own economic reality and the concerns that they have, and that's who the election's going to come down to.
You need both, though. You need an excited base and the swing voters. That's the key.
I guess my point is that when Robby's talking about these swing voters, and Kamala has made an effort to try to get moderate Republicans, right? She's moderated on a lot of her positions from 2019. She has been touting the endorsements of people like Dick Cheney, and has been sending out these memos about how 250 former Republicans have endorsed Kamala Harris. So it does matter if people have a negative opinion about Taylor Swift's endorsement or any celebrity's endorsement. And it's not specifically about Taylor Swift. She's a Democrat. Everybody knows this, right? She endorsed Phil Bredesen against Marsha Blackburn in 2018. This is not new information. Anybody who's upset about Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris obviously doesn't know anything about Taylor Swift. Right. That's fine. Like, I don't care who Taylor Swift endorses.
It was stupid of Donald Trump to fume about it. Like, we just got to move on, dude.
But a lot of people are averse to celebrity endorsements no matter who it is, because they don't like the idea of being lectured by an elite privileged group of people who frankly aren't feeling the economic concerns or the concerns of immigration, which are the top 2 issues for voters right now.
Yeah.
I will say, I understand the elitism argument, but let's talk about the CEOs being elite. These are artists, and I think that the right has been so aggressive about their war against artists who, a lot of them did come from humble beginnings. In fact, most came from humble beginnings. And yes, they get catapulted into celebrity, but they're still humans. They still live under the same, laws that we all live in. She's still a woman. If she wants to have an abortion in Texas, if she lives in Texas, she's not going to be able to do that.
Well, she can get on her private jet and fly anywhere else in the country.
Well, not if it's up to Donald Trump, it's going to be nowhere. But that's
why is it? Wait.
Donald Trump opposes a national federal abortion ban.
Yesterday he didn't.
Well, you say the same thing about Kamala. I don't know what she supports today.
When has Donald Trump ever supported a national abortion ban? Name one time.
Oh my God, come on right now. Point is, he flip-flops on a lot of issues. We can sit here and talk all day about flip-flopping, but in terms of celebrity or artists, yes, on one hand, okay, yeah, they're elitist. Got it. Some of them live in mansions, not all of them do. But they also should care about who their president is. Doesn't mean that strips them of citizenship. I would love for Republicans to have the same opinions about CEOs who are making 60 times what they made 20 years ago, who are making hundreds of times more than the average worker. You want to be the party of working people that take on the CEOs, take on those big companies who are
that's precisely what the Trump Vance ticket is about bringing a new populace into the Republican Party.
Why are the CEOs donating to the Republican Party?
You could say the same about, Reid Hoffman doesn't donate to the Democrats.
Oh, you found one. You found one.
George
He also-
Soros.
Tim Walz was just with Alex Soros, right?
Alex
Did
Soros,
the photo
George
op.
Soros, Reid
He's not a
Hoffman.
CEO. Alex Soros runs a huge foundation that does human rights work all over the world. He empowers people to go out and vote. He does voters' drives. That's a
I
Soros
find it
foundation.
convenient that Republicans are somehow the party of big corporate donations when in every single election, Democrats manage to outspend Republicans by a fraction of about 10 to 1. We're supposed to believe that's all just small dollar donors.
Oh, take a look at the super PACs then, because you know what you guys do? You just funnel them into super PACs so no one can track it. It's
Okay.
called dark money. Well, it's true. I mean, on
We
Capitol-
actually just had a guest on the program last Friday who mentioned that Kamala Harris has been taking more in dark money than Donald Trump.
That's not true, by the way.
There's a lot of
Her
big
reports
money,
at-
but
her
you would
reports at
concede that there are a
Lebanese.
lot of big money
Yes.
supporters behind both parties.
Yes.
And there are, I mean, there are big, Mark Cuban, one of the richest, wealthiest, is a major Kamala Harris surrogate right now. You're right, of course, that people like Bill Ackman, who were maybe previously more neutral, have gotten really behind Donald Trump. So I take your point. There's a lot of big moneyed interest, and that is a problem in our society. But this is a culture segment. I think people get annoyed by being constantly lectured to. Yeah, I'm sure by CEOs to the extent they see it. But the CEOs are mostly on, I guess, Twitter lecturing to us. I think people also get annoyed by being lectured by their celebrities, and they would.
People don't
know
wanna
their
go to a
celebrities have
concert
views.
and have the person behind the microphone popping off about
Yeah, I don't.
politics.
Well,
I
some
don't.
do. I mean,
I
Hulk
do
Hogan,
not.
everyone loved when all the
That was at the
Republicans did
RNC, Nomi. Come on, that's not a
that.
concert.
He still does it all the time in different.
Well, this is a lot of fun. More Rising right after this.